I'm filing for divorce. I found someone younger. That's how the message began. The part about, we've already moved into your house, came next. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 46. I've been a mechanical engineer at Longhorn Fabrication in Austin for 11 years. Today's story is about a text from abroad, a boy in my kitchen, and how a quiet stack of receipts did what anger couldn't. The message arrived on Telegram while I was checking tolerances on a conveyor redesign for a Lubbock plant. My wife, Mariana, was on her third family visit to Buenos Aires this year. She attached a photo, her arm around a kid who could have been one of my interns, both grinning like they'd solved a puzzle. I typed one word back, congratulations. Then I locked my phone and finished the drawing. Engineers are taught to trust patterns. For months, the pattern at home was off. Longer trips, thinner excuses. Joint account withdrawals labeled family emergency that matched whatever bonus hit my paycheck. Questions disguised as curiosity. Whose name is on the deed? How much is in the 401k? What's the life insurance payout just in case? I bought the Westlake Hills house 3 years before we married. Separate property. Before this message, she'd asked twice to add her name to the title. I said I'd think about it. The trips got longer after that. That night, I drove to the house I'd paid for and sat in the truck until the cicadas sounded like a metronome. Then I went inside and put a spiral notebook on the kitchen table. Page 1. Date. Event. Source. If you're in a storm, start a log. I pulled 3 years of bank statements, every wire to Argentina, every joint card charge that had 2 dinners, 1 receipt, written all over it. Hotel invoices in Palermo and Recoleta, Mercado Pago transfers. My name on the card, her name on the signature. I didn't scream. I printed. The next morning I met an attorney, Renee Shaw, Travis County. She scanned the stack like it was a scan tool over a misfiring engine. We'll need more, she said. Wire forms, purpose declarations, full credit histories, and proof she's cohabiting. Texas is fault-capable. Waste of community assets matters. This is not legal advice, but the more receipts, the cleaner the result. I opened an individual checking account and rerouted my paycheck. I set alerts on the joint accounts. Then I called a PI, Arturo Vega, retired DPS, now the kind of patient that makes liars run out of air. Arturo traced the money. The wires labeled Mom's Surgery landed in an account controlled by Matias, the younger man in the photo, who had no job, no assets, and a car payment my card had been funding. He pulled messages. He translated posts. He gave me screenshots I never wanted to read. "You're boring but profitable," she'd told him in Spanish, a sentence that felt like a cold tool on a filling. I added a new page to the notebook. Claims, proof, policy. If you keep a log, you keep your balance. This is not legal advice. The boy, by the way, wasn't a secret for long. A neighbor texted me a photo of someone sunning by my pool with my towel over his eyes. Mariana's caption on Instagram vanished an hour later, said home sweet home. Abandonment, cohabitation. The words judges use when the romance burns off. Renee moved fast. We secured temporary orders. Exclusive use of the house to me. Joint accounts frozen. A standing restraint against large withdrawals. We drafted the petition citing adultery and waste. Arturo coordinated service abroad through the Hague service channel. "She'll be surprised," Renee said. "Surprise isn't strategy. Evidence is." 3 days later, before the papers landed, Mariana texted again from Buenos Aires. "We should talk about what's fair." I looked at my notebook, at the line where fair had bled between 2 entries labeled hotel and jewelry. "Everything will be documented," I wrote back. "We'll let the process work." The process server found her on a Wednesday morning. Matias answered the door shirtless, Mariana came to the frame in a robe. Arturo's note said the only word either of them asked in English was, "Why?" The server handed her the packet. Because, basically. For the next 20 days, I moved my life into an apartment near the yard. Mattress on the floor, 2 mugs, 1 pan. When a man cleans out his house on paper, before he cleans it out in person, the second part goes faster. On day 18, my phone rang. "Ethan, what are you doing?" Her voice was high and thin, like it had altitude sickness. "Exactly what you wrote," I said. "Getting divorced." "You can't lock me out of everything. I have rights." "You had rights. You traded them for a roommate and a wire line. The court will sort the rest." 2 days later, her Buenos Aires lawyer reached out to Renee. "They want to negotiate," Renee said. I pictured the pool towel again and felt nothing. "No," I said. "See them in court." International cases don't move quickly. We use the time. Arturo built a clean timeline. First trip, first wire, first hotel, first claim. He matched Instagram to credit ledgers, photos to GPS data, bank forms to signature logs. He found the part where she'd told friends in Spanish that she was escaping abuse, a word that could ruin a man's life if not answered. He laid beside it the photos from our anniversary in Marfa 2 weeks earlier. He made a chart a judge could read like sheet music. I learned a new kind of patience. I also learned my mother's biscuit recipe by heart and put weight back on a barbell at a gym where no one asked about feelings. Quiet doesn't mean weak. It means certain. Renee scheduled a pre-trial status conference. We sat at a wood table that had heard hundreds of marriages crack. Her side tried the script. Cultural differences, financial control, isolation. Renee slid the binder forward and spoke 12 words. "Let's stipulate to the documents and save the court's time." They did. Paper beats adjectives. Arturo suggested one more layer, a forensic download of the joint card portal and the cloud backups of Mariana's public posts, timestamps, IP addresses. We added a row to the log for each: time, origin, location, Buenos Aires cafe Wi-Fi, my living room smart TV pinging Netflix while I was at work, and my key fob was 6 miles away. He likes space movies. The neighbor had joked about the kid at the pool. The Netflix queue agreed. In the middle of this, the yard at Longhorn asked if I could do a night shift consult on a belt issue. I went. Life doesn't stop because yours cracked. The belt was out by 3 millimeters after a maintenance change. We fixed it in 45 minutes. Driving home at 3 a.m., I realized that solving problems is the same in steel and in courts. Measure, document, correct. I also wrote letters, dated, stamped, sent certified, to every institution touching our money: banks, brokerage, mortgage, insurer. Notice of pending dissolution. Freeze joint disbursements above X. Require dual consent. It wasn't dramatic. It was adult. This is not legal advice. The hearing was in a small courtroom with fluorescent lights that make everyone look like they tell the truth. Judge Ellison had that air-seasoned judges get the kind that says, "I've already seen this movie. Don't try to sell me the director's cut." Mariana came in wearing a black dress and sunglasses too dark for indoors. No Matias. 2 lawyers. A stack of papers that looked thinner than mine. Her counsel stood. "Your Honor, my client sought companionship after years of emotional abandonment." She. "Counsel," Judge Ellison said. "Start with the money." Renee rose with a binder labeled Timeline. "Your Honor, we allege waste and fraud, $22,640 in joint card spending on hotels, restaurants, and gifts for a third party, $18,950 in wires masked as medical emergencies, and abandonment of the marital residence, all while attempting to add her name to a premarital deed." She slid exhibits forward. Wire forms with medical, checked, and Matias's account on the receiving line. Hotel folios with 2 breakfasts, screenshots of pool loungers and captions, a printout of telegram messages where Mariana wrote, "Move in, he travels, no one will know." We also submit translations of public posts claiming escape from abuse, directly contradicted by contemporaneous photos and messages, Renee added, requesting the court consider defamation and equity. This is not legal advice. Her lawyer tried to pivot. Cultural differences, financial control, isolation. Receipts? The judge asked. They didn't have mine. Then came the questions that matter. Who paid this bill? Which account funded this wire? Whose signature is this? Why did you write medical when the funds went to a car lease? Mariana's answers slid around like oil on a hot pan. The judge didn't chase them. He let the documents settle. Renee called Arturo. He's the kind of witness who doesn't perform. He just says what a timestamp says. He walked the court from the first Instagram caption to the last hotel checkout. He pointed to the credit line increase the week before the first Recoleta stay. He matched it to a dinner receipt for two with a handwritten "Gracias, amor" in blue ink. Her lawyers tried to rattle him. "You're not a mind reader?" "No," Arturo said, "just a reader." The ruling wasn't cinematic. It was arithmetic. The court found fault, waste, and fraud on clear and convincing evidence. Exclusive use of the house confirmed to me. Disproportionate division of the community in my favor. Reimbursement for misused funds, plus fees. No spousal support. A note on the record about untruthful narratives and credibility issues. The gavel sounded like a tape measure snapping home. Mariana cried in a way I recognized. Not grief realization. Her lawyers talked appeals. I gathered my binder and my quiet. Afterwards, I drove to the house and walked it room by room, not to mourn, but to inventory. The kitchen drawer with warranty booklets and spare batteries. The hall closet full of throw pillows that never touched the couch. The office where I'd built a spreadsheet called Tomorrow. I packed, labeled, left what the decree said to leave, took what it said to take. Calm is a tool when used correctly. People think the story ends at the ruling. It doesn't. There's the bureaucracy of endings, title companies, brokerage transfer forms, a locksmith who whistles while he works and doesn't ask why. There's the first night you sleep without checking a second toothbrush. There's the morning you wake up and notice you didn't wake up all night. 3 months later, I sold the Westlake Hills house on my timeline. It had too many rooms full of echoes. I bought a brick place in Buda with a pecan tree tall enough to throw shade where I wanted it. I learned the path of the afternoon sun on my driveway. I learned that cardinals will visit if you keep the feeder full and leave them alone. Work promoted me to lead on the Lubbock line. Solving broken systems pays when you do it without flinching. Arturo sent a final update. Matias left when the wires stopped. Mariana waitressed for a while, then moved in with a cousin. She texted twice. Long apologies and a short, "Can we be friends?" I didn't respond. Some bridges aren't wood. They're gasoline. There were other quiet scenes no one claps for. Me in the DMV line, changing an address and feeling, for once, relieved to be a number. Me at HEB debating between the cheap skillet and the good one, then buying the good one because it will outlast drama. Me returning the last box of her succulents to a cousin who said, "Lo siento," and meant it. I got evenings back. I met the neighbor who runs at dusk and always waves. I built a raised garden bed with cedar and screws because nails loosen when wood dries. Tomatoes, jalapenos, basil. The first sauce tasted like a small, honest victory. Friends asked if I'd forgiven her. The answer is complicated and simple. I don't carry her anymore. That's as close to forgiveness as I need. If you're in what I was in, here's the part you can actually use. Keep a contemporaneous log. Write dates while they're still hot. Screenshot public posts before they vanish. Save statements the day they post. Separate your accounts legally and ethically. Communicate through counsel when it's time. Be polite. Be brief. Be documented. And remember, a judge doesn't need your adjectives, only your exhibits. This is not legal advice. Mid-roll before the last bit. If this helped you keep your footing or gave you language you needed, tap like and subscribe. It puts these quiet power stories in front of people who are drowning in noise. Here's the last bit. A year out, my mother asked if I'd forgiven Mariana. Forgiveness, I told her, is a ledger with 2 columns. What's owed and what's learned. What's owed isn't mine to collect anymore. What's learned, I keep. I keep the biscuit recipe. I keep the habit of labeling every box on the same side. I keep a binder with copies of things that matter. I keep mornings where coffee tastes like a decision I made for myself. I keep the sound of a tape measure snapping home, and the way a good bearing is silent when it spins true. Most nights I walk past the pecan tree and look up. The sky is clearer in Buddha than it ever looked through city glare. Quiet isn't empty. It's accurate. Don't argue with a story. Weigh it. Timelines don't lie. Money remembers. And when you build a life, use fasteners you can trust.